Scott, first of all, how are you? How is your family? How's it all been during what has been almost now a month, or it has been over a month of lockdown?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's strange, obviously, James, as you can imagine, for all of us, really. But in terms of me and the family, we're all well. Obviously, boys went back to school today in the sense of it's very different for them. They obviously went back to school via an iPad and stuff like that. But in terms of well-being and health, we're all fine. So, yeah, we're just cracking on with what we need to do at this present moment in time to stay safe, like everyone else, and follow the guidelines which are in place, and go from there, really.
So you mentioned about how your kids have gone back to school, but virtually. How's it been reaching out or getting in contact with your squad and your coaching staff during this time?
It's different. It's obviously probably learning a new skill set in that sense because you're having to take on your job or your work like many people out there, which you're not used to. And you're trying to work out different ways to communicate with the team, different ways to communicate with staff and stuff like that. Obviously, technology has moved so far forward, and I'm not great with technology, and often a phone call or a text is probably is better for me certainly. But in these times, this is what we need to do. So um, I've got a very young team around me as well. My staff have been excellent in this situation and these moments really. So we are in constant dialogue with the players, and like I said, sometimes you weigh up the balance of what certain players want, and in different moments, different players want different things. Sometimes certain players want to hear a voice, some players it's a text message, just gentle reminders, or it's more of a group session as well. So just really being flexible at this moment, I think that's probably the biggest message for me with my staff. We can be very flexible, proactive, and kind of look for new ways to engage the team, albeit limited, of course it is, but how we can try and get our message across to the players and understand, keep them motivated, keep them understanding that that they'll come an end to this, and this is when we need to be ready. So, and I think we're doing well in that.
And it's a strange time, isn't it? Because you touch upon dialogue, but it's not only keeping in contact with people, but it's also it must be challenging times in terms of ensuring that the mental health of your squad is maintained. And I saw you do an interview with the Times the other day talking about how a sports psychologist has been involved, just checking in, and that's an integral part of it, isn't it?
I think that's probably the most important part at this present time. I think probably I'm a firm believer in the mental side of the game, and even when throughout this season, it's always been something which is at the forefront of my mind whenever we're addressing the team or on the training ground or games after pre-games. It's always something which is at the forefront, but even more so in these moments because obviously, like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of doubt, there's probably a lot of questions being asked amongst me as well. In my head, I've got a million things going on, and we're all the same in any walk of life at this very moment in time, and that's because of the uncertainty. No one really knows where things are heading or what we're going to get to or what times and dates, and because of that, it brings obviously some different things really. So I think I'm very conscious of the fact that obviously at this present moment in time, the mental side of the team and understanding that and understanding what each individual wants is vitally important, really. But I think you're right now more than ever. If ever there was a time as a football player or as a squad of players and managing a squad of players, mentally is what you're trying to manage, really. Keep players where they need to be.
And it's obviously a squad is a squad. It's that collective daily coming in, being around your teammates. So for that to be removed, it shows the importance of all of us still remaining in touch and remaining in contact, isn't it? And touching upon that in terms of dialogue and reaching out, there's plans for you, just as like there are with some of the squad members, to reach out to members of the Fulham community who may be a little bit vulnerable at this time.
Yeah, I think that's something which is in the process now. I think tomorrow I'll be doing that as well myself. I'll be making some calls to obviously to fans and more vulnerable fans in that, and just obviously get in touch with them. And I think that has gone on. I think a few players have already done that this week. So I think it probably, I was asked, like you said, I was asked yesterday 2-3 days ago in the interview I did about that. I think it probably emphasises what Fulham's about, really, a close-knit, family-orientated football club that's got a real empathy and a real caring for everyone, really. And I suppose it's times like this when really you see that, and it comes out even more so, really. So we need to stick together in these times. Like I've always said throughout this year, we need to stick together even more so now, because obviously these are the moments which ain't going well, and we'll stick together through that.
So we're talking about a couple of days after the match against Brentford was cancelled and postponed, and things started to really sink in. It must have been then a process of Ali and the fitness guys and your coaching staff putting things in place, and there's been a detailed regime that's been laid out to the squad, hasn't it? So that was an immediate thing that you had to deal with, was maintaining fitness and remaining ready.
Yeah, that was the most important thing, and I think the staff, I think Ali, was superb in that sense, because obviously it's Ali's remit, and I think from there he took the mantle. We was very proactive along with the medical team. Gilly, there was a lot of people there who were very, very proactive in that sense, and probably realised that maybe what was coming. We were looking at probably Italy and Spain, and having an understanding that they were probably a few weeks ahead of us, and they were obviously going into lockdown. So I think the most important thing for us, and certainly for me, was to make sure that players had some sort of equipment to do some physical work. And we went into lockdown, you couldn't leave your house, say, or stuff like that. Worst case, I know that didn't happen in the end. Players were able to go and do exercise outside, but even so, some players wanted to have gone outside at certainly early stages of this when it all kicked off. And we was very conscious that we needed to make sure that players had bikes, treadmills, wherever they may have, weights, to obviously follow the regime which we was then going to set moving forward, really. So, I think the team done a very good job in that, really. And to be fair, the players have been superb in that as well. And I do understand the difficulties at this moment in time as a player, because ultimately, like you said, James, you come in every day, you're around the team, you have a real purpose in the sense of you build into a week on a Monday to Friday, and the end goal at the end of it is a game on a Saturday. And a constant reminder of that is during the week for myself, my staff, and obviously as a player, you have that. At this moment, you don't. At this moment, there's just uncertainty. When do we come back? When are we going to start training? Even more so, this is now about our mentality, really. This is about a real understanding of the bigger picture, and that picture is further down the road. But can you motivate yourself, and can you be disciplined enough to make sure that when the season does start up again, you're in the best shape you possibly can be to obviously to have a win for it.
I think it would be easy to think that we're all hunkered down in our own situations and worrying about ourselves, and the bigger picture is here. There's a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes amongst the squad to remain prepared, remain ready, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Even more so, probably. It's been harder work, certainly for all of us, and the reason being is because you're having to learn different skill sets. You're in constant dialogue. Obviously, when you have the team around you on a daily basis, your message is very, very clear. You have the group with all together. You speak once. You can get that message across, what you want, what you need, how you want to do things, what time, and stuff like that. This is very different, and as much as you've got Zoom and you've got other things like that, obviously this is more individual now. This is tailored per player, which is still the case, obviously, before this. Obviously, individual programs were always there in place, and but it's obviously just been a little bit more work, and there's been more intensity to that, really, of making it best we can.
It's an interesting one, isn't it, for you personally, now being head coach of the club? It's to think about these players. This is a unique challenge for them in terms of that self-motivation, that self-discipline, with obviously guidance for the club. But this is a unique challenge for an athlete like a footballer to be going through, isn't it?
Yeah, this is very, very unique in that sense. Obviously, people can relate to probably end of season, but at the end of the season, in terms of a rest period, and But at the end of the season, your sole focus is you've done your work, and now you can rest off it a little bit. Okay, some players will maintain fitness during the off season. Of course, they will, because they want to keep themselves in some sort of condition. But a lot of players won't do that. But this is very, very different, because ultimately, whenever it may be, you've still got a quarter of the season still left in front of us, and there's 9 games to play, 12 games with playoffs, if that's the case. But there's certainly 9 games to play where you're going to need to make sure that you hit the ground running, because the season comes to a sprint. And I think when you look at the dynamics of how they pan out in terms of games, days, it's going to be very, very different. So certainly, I think you're right in your question. As a player, you need to. This is a different mindset now. You need to try and engage your mind to think, okay, I understand the situation now, and can I take that anxiety out of my head to know that, when this does kick off again, that I'm going to do the work now, and I'm going to maintain my level, because this season's not been finished. It needs to get finished.
And when we think about it, also it puts in perspective that we live in our world that is football, but there are frontline workers out there at the moment, which adds some real kind of perspective to the situation, that are putting their lives on the line to be aiding our country, our community, and as a wider and in the wider world as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously that's good. I think we all live in our own little worlds, don't we? And certain things in life, when you're in football, at certain times, football is the be all and end all for us most days. But there's certain things what happen during that, what probably gives you an understanding that it ain't the be all and end all. Whether that's you lose someone, or something happens along them ways, or something like we're in at this present moment in time. I think it probably does make you sit back and realise, there's bigger things out there, and what people are doing, the NHS and the workers, to think that they are on the front line at this present moment in time, in which is unprecedented circumstances as well, is pretty remarkable, and is pretty amazing as well, really. So yeah, I mean, full credit to them, and utmost respect. I think we have Gilly's girlfriend obviously is on the front line, and so yeah, it makes you realise exactly what's real and what's in the sense.
And finally, it's if you could say one thing that you miss the most about that day-to-day life of being in and around a football club and being the head coach and us pushing towards that promotion, what do you miss the most?
I miss the most. Yeah, I mean, I miss the general being around the team and being around staff, and that goal of what we all set out for this year, and that the hard work and all the work that we put in to put ourselves in a position. Was the challenges what we faced every day was enjoyable, and then there's the other side of obviously there's that anxiety side where you don't have that control, and at times it's been pretty difficult because you don't fully know what exactly is going on as much as you can be as well detailed as we think we are, and the world planned out that we are. There's the other side as well, but I think just generally the general vibe being around the lads, the squad, I thought we was in a real fantastic place to be from. So the back end, the last 15, 16 games before that, I felt we was in a very, very good place mentally. I'm out of a bit of a blip after Christmas, and I just sensed that the season was going in the right way for us in many reasons, really, and I could see that on the training pitch every day, and then I could also see that in games as well. So yeah, I think it's probably just that was which is the biggest thing. But listen, this is I've often said it during this season, and we've had many. I keep saying the bumps, and that we've had many bumps, haven't we? In the sense of bad results, what maybe we shouldn't have lost, performances where we've been really poor and we've not turned up, albeit not many. But certainly it was. I didn't expect this bump was come along here, but that's exactly what it is. And obviously, in terms of football sense, we need to just make sure that we're ready for when we're back in it.
Thank you very much.